Thank you guys all for being here and being interested in the program. The content, like I mentioned, we're going to go through the business model, program highlights, some former student thoughts, and then some of the online resources we have, and really dedicate a lot of that time to Q&A. The business at Askinosie, I guess I can first ask if everyone has heard of. You can just nod yes or no if you have heard of Askinosie chocolate, maybe been to the factory before, hopefully had a taste or two of the chocolate in the past. We have tours up there, so a lot of people have had a chance to visit on our commercial street factory. We are an award-winning chocolate maker based here in Springfield, and we are internationally recognized and awarded for the amazing chocolate that is produced up there on the north side of Springfield, and really just by about 20-25 people, depending on the season. We have a really small team, but we are really focused on the farmer and focused on the direct trade and international direct trade process that we use to procure cocoa beans from the farmer. And as we work on this business model, we really focus on the relationship with the farmer and building that from the ground up. Really investing in that. And we believe that's what makes our chocolate so amazing. And that's what makes the beans that we get from those farmers so valuable. We are able to, rather than just procure chocolate beans or cocoa beans like you might if you were in a large corporation, or even a lot of other bean to bar makers are able just to buy off the market and collect beans, and then they don't necessarily know what's happening in the farms. We really focus on that relationship with the farmer and believe that it is a difference maker. So that is a lot of the crux of the conversation that we'll share, and the lessons we'll share with students. Is just that different way to approach business through sourcing, through the relationship versus only the end product. We focus on direct trade, which is a little different than fair trade or other trade models that you might, commodity market purchases, things like that. Our firsthand relationships with the farmers are so critical to that business model that Sean goes to the farms and meets with the farmers face to face annually. Now, COVID upset our plans a little bit through the last couple of years, but that's a key element to making this relationship work, is investing the time and investing in that that hand-to-hand handshake, and that understanding really what their challenges and problems are from a production perspective, being able to get eyes on the farm and understand what's happening there. So really getting that firsthand relationship. And that matters because we're able then to get the best beans, right? If you're taking cookies over to a friend's house and you're hand delivering them, you're going to make sure they look great. If you are doing something that's a little more transactional and you're sending them with 6 other people and they eventually get there, it doesn't matter as much how the cookies look, right? So what we try to do is make sure that we have that relationship that then allows them to have a great kind of responsibility and a commitment to the connection that we have with them. And we also offer a premium price and profit share with the farmers. So as Sean negotiates, and Sean, you can comment on this yourself too, but as you negotiate the bean contracts with the farmers, we always go in and pay above commodity market value so that they have a premium. They're paid fairly for the beans they produce. And that isn't always commodity pricing. We also share, after we go through all of our books at the end of the year, we evaluate where all the beans, where all the products that we have sold, where those beans came from. We have a really sophisticated tracking system that keeps track of all of that. And we're able to then share those dollars back with the farmers. And that's really important because I don't know if we have any of the $1.9 billion Powerball winners on the call here tonight, but unless you won that, there's not life-changing money that comes to all of us very often, but the profit share can be that way for some of the farmers. I mean, it can be significant dollars for their businesses, not 1.9 billion by any means. I don't mean to make a correlation like that, but it can be significant. So to have them receive that money, we also invest with them in visioning. So we work with them to do a vision writing exercise where they assess what their goals are as a business and as a family, sometimes depending on which farming group we're working with. We help them write a vision for both their business themselves personally, and it includes their community. You guys will see here in this picture that is one of the schools and one of the after school groups that we work with, which is really part of the vision that the farmers in Mababu wrote. They wanted to support the students in schools through the Empowered Girls and Enlightened Boys program that we partner with them on in their community. So being able to invest in the community, both here through programs like Chocolate University, but also model that for the farmers and kind of pay it forward with them so that they're able to take some of those profit share resources and direct them to meet some of their community goals and some of their goals that they've set. I'll talk about some other goals that they've set and show you guys some pictures of those too. But those three tenets, I would say, are the focus areas for Chocolate University kind of insights. They're parts of the business model. There's a lot of other things within the business model that Askinosie uses, which are really insightful. But those three are kind of the crux of the difference makers, the things that we really can focus on with the high school students as we open our books and share our business with them through the Chocolate University program. There is a commitment to the farmers all the way through our products. So if you guys look here, we have Mama and Pokey in that first visual. She is the person who, can you guys still see the screen? Okay. It's not showing me that on my side, so I want to make sure. The Mama and Pokey is the first farmer we have showing here, and all of our direct tray or all of our single origin chocolate bars have our farmers featured on them, because that is a critical part of who we are. And again, this is their chocolate, their bar. So we like to feature them and really honor that relationship we have with them in the products we sell. We also have a string or a section of the cocoa bags that has been on the farm that is tied at the top of each of our bars, and it connects the consumer all the way from the farm location. And that the students we have here have seen a lot of those cocoa bags, and they're made of a burlap type product that we can use to connect that back with the farmers. And that little string there represents some of the hard work that they have put into. Get to our next slide here. So we are honored to be recognized as one of the top 25 best small companies in America by Forbes. And honestly, Shauna is really humble about this, but we have a lot of great recognitions as a company and as an employer. And being able to really share that with students is a really cool and neat opportunity for students to learn kind of what got us to that point with Forbes recognition, but also what drives us and drives the decision making within the company each day. So I will share, I guess, Sean, if you have any additions. I went through, that's a lightning round of kind of the difference makers for the business. But if you have any additions, I'm happy to share the floor with you for that.
No, I thought you did a great job. And if there are any questions that come up at the conclusion or any time, I'm
okay.
I think that's great.
So back in 2008-9, whenever the factory was starting, there was definitely a commitment to community service and kind of connecting in with the community right around the chocolate company, which is up on Commercial Street, like I mentioned. And part of that was working with some of the families that were at the Missouri Hotel, and the projects have kind of evolved over time. But in 2009, Sean invited several students from Central, several of those are on the phone here today, which is really cool, but to join him in the process of evaluating new origin locations. And so in doing that, working through that process, Taylor was in that team. He was able to kind of support and walk alongside this business person who was making critical business decisions for his company, and ultimately travel with him to those origins during that evaluation and making sure that what they thought they were getting was kind of the end result product that they were in, the relationship that they could build from there, sourcing beans in Tanzania. In that process, that trip has evolved a lot since then. We've gone on 5 of these trips at this point now, but we always have a project that is associated each time. And it's really driven by those community partners, the farmers that we work with, and what they have written in their vision and how they want to proceed in their community. Starting in 2010, we took that first trip. Since then, and still in 2023, we partner with Drury University to provide that critical infrastructure for a study abroad program. Drury takes lots of different students overseas and different types of study abroad programs that they run for college students. And we use that same infrastructure to run the high school chocolate immersion trip that we're talking about here, because as we looked at trying to do that as a small business, there's a lot to undertake, and Drury has been a great partner with us to provide that critical infrastructure, and we run this program through their international travel group. We also know that, focusing on this this program is something that there's all kinds of kids that have been involved in this. There's lots of different faces here. Some are on the call again too. You'll see Brendan in this picture. This was our 2018 group going. This is a familiar background in the Springfield airport, but lots of big, happy, smiling faces on the beginning of our trip. This is a long trip, and so as we look at the trip that is ahead of this group and all of the groups that go on this, it is about 50 hours of travel to get to Tanzania, where we go. It is it's a bit of an endurance test, but it is something that has really provided a life-changing experience for all of the students that have been involved in it. We hear back from our student alumni, and like I said, I'm just honored that they chose to spend a few minutes with us this evening and share some of their perspectives too. Each year is a little different. We made some pretty significant changes this year. We continue to invite juniors and seniors on this trip. So this will be graduating classes of 23 and 24. Students need to be 16 by the July 1st date. So that's those are kind of the important qualifiers just to get started. That's all the same, but new this year, we have widened the geographic reach for the program to all of Southwest Missouri. So if you're able to arrive to our preparation meetings by 5:30 that are on Commercial Street or on the Drury campus, that works. And so in the past, we were limited to different Greene or Christian County, but we decided just, a lot of kids are able to travel and go to different schools and take college classes and do all kinds of things that really have changed since 2010 when we started the program. We also are this year providing a scholarship for all students. So we have a registration fee of $500, some out-of-pocket expenses, but the value of the trip is about $5,000. The cost to the students is $500. We are able and really lucky to have a lot of support from the community and are able to provide scholarships for the students as a whole, and we're really excited to be able to do that. So there, sometimes $500 is still a lot to be able to absorb in a family, and we know that that can be cost prohibitive. We don't want it to be. So if there is a challenge still to meet that registration fee, that's something students can bring up during the interview process when we get to that step, and we're happy to help them out with covering that or scheduling out those payments over a longer period of time. The new this year also is we removed the full essay and replaced that with a few shorter answer questions that we've had. So that's a little bit different in the application. Our applications are due December 5th, and they will be evaluated by a selection committee that's based on some folks from Drury, from the Springfield Public Schools, from our board for the organization, and from the company. So kind of a combination of folks on that selection committee. That is some of the big highlights and changes this year. But as we look back at this image of these smiling faces, I will pan forward to a little bit more the different class, but a little bit more tired faces as we get going. Still a lot of good smiles, but we were about probably 40 hours into our trip at this point, and I can definitely attest to those students who are here. Layla's on the call with us now. That breath of fresh air you get when you hop off the plane here is like nothing else. We really, after about a 14-hour flight, getting this mountain air in Tanzania and Mbeya, which is where we land, is amazing. So we really have enjoyed that big breath of fresh air that happens at that point. But we have a little bit further to go on the trip. We are able to continue on to meet this young lady. This is Serafina Yorio, and she represents something that's also really unique about this travel experience or this opportunity. Serafina lives in Tanzania, but she is our host while we're there. She is multilingual, very fluent English speaker, as well as Swahili and 4 other languages. But she is a university educated director of our Empower Girls and Enlighten Boys program, and a conduit for the chocolate company and working with the farmers. So she lives in the village of Mababu. She's there when we visit. And most of the students here have met her. I don't think Taylor has, but I think everybody else has. But she represents a kind of a friend type of approach. And I I share this because when you visit with Askinosie, you're coming into this small African village as a friend of theirs. You're kind of an extended friend. It's really a different experience than a typical safari or tourist experience because they welcome you in like you are one of theirs. And it's kind of like visiting maybe a friend's family or something where you're sitting at the kitchen table and having dinner with them and having conversation really quickly, much quicker than if you just met somebody um, on your own. And that experience translates to, I think, a much richer experience for the students that are involved. We also have a little bus ride after we're on that plane, and before we meet Serafina, we hop off the bus, and this is one of the schools, but there's an outpouring of hospitality from the village. Also, these are students who are in song right now in this picture here, singing and welcoming our bus from the airport to their village, and it is exciting to see that and to feel all of that excitement and energy that they have. The students, while they're in the village, will be able to work within the cocoa bean harvesting process. So they'll harvest beans from the cocoa trees at the farmers' houses and on their property, on their land. The shambas is what we call that. And they'll also work, this is in the fermentation, moving from fermentation boxes into drying rooms. So we do hands-on work within the cocoa process. And we also look at, this is Layla, who's on the call here, actually. I'm doing a cut test, and we're looking at the quality of the beans, and we'll talk a lot about that with them and really have business meetings almost every morning. This was representing one of the other vision points that the students had, which is, or that the farmers had, which is to build a office for themselves, and something that they clearly were able to accomplish. They created a beautiful office that they use to host us at the meetings, and we meet there typically every morning for the most part, and sometimes well into the afternoon to work on contracts and just talk through the state of their business and the needs we have, and negotiate like any business would. But in an international format, it takes a little longer with some of the translation and some of the work we have to do together. Then we also wanted to share that I know at the visioning state, whenever we do some visioning work with the farmers, one of the things that they have come up with at the beginning of the first round of visioning with the Tanzanian farmers, one of the farmers had shared that he was visioning. This is a long-term, multi-year vision ahead of where he was today, that he would have a mattress to sleep on and a roof over his head, and be able to have enough money to go to the market and buy appropriate amount of food for a day or two for his family. And we think about that sometimes and take a lot of those types of things in our worlds for granted. But those people who are wishing and hoping for that kind of vision, right? That's a long-term plan for them. They're working toward that goal. They're able to have this kind of what I would say is a glass half full approach to life, even though they're coming from a lot of despair and a lot of this environment that doesn't seem to be very conducive to the positivity that they exhibit, and the generosity and the hospitality that they share with our teams are just amazing. It really affects all of us. And I'd say the students you see gradually being kind of touched by the way that the farmers are. They don't have a lot, but they give everything they have, and they are so committed to that relationship with Askinosie and with Sean that it's really inspirational for most of us to see that firsthand, and it's really cool to experience that. So even if this was your home and you're coming to it, they might give you their last egg for breakfast, or share a cup of tea with you, or chai, or things like that, that you would feel awful even taking that, because you know that that's maybe not a lot of supply there for them. But they take this base that they're coming from, and they are able to just share such huge hearts, and we learn so much more from them than they teach us, I will say, every time we go. So this is a great summary from Aniva, who is one of the students from our 16 trip. She said, "Thank you for teaching me what love is. Thank you for showing me what pure joy looks like. Thank you for your hospitality and for your gifts. My heart has never felt so full, and I could never express in words how the village of Mababu impacted my life. I need Tanzania more than Tanzania needs me." And I think as we prepare for an international business trip, right? You think about this is a cocoa buying trip. We got a lot of business to do. We're negotiating a lot. We're doing this profit share. We have a lot of business and a huge agenda to cover when we go on these trips. But the cool part is that the people who are in that village are able to transform and kind of open us up from a heart perspective, as well as our minds and our business sense. They give us perspective, which is something that is just really invaluable. So I think all of us, adults and high school students, it would be a great gift to be able to share that kind of perspective with everybody. But I will turn it over to our team of alumni here to share a little bit. And Sean, I welcome you, or Erica, if you guys have anything I missed, or I think I ticked off all of the key points we needed to hit. But if I missed anything, please step in and share that, and then I can introduce our alumni team.
I don't have anything else to add until there are any questions. So
okay, that's awesome. So
yeah,
Taylor,
me neither. Great job, Missy.
Okay, thanks, Erica. If you can just, Taylor, if you can kind of wave or announce yourself there, I will introduce you. He was actually a member of our first Chocolate University class of 2010, and later attended Drury University and then Washington University in St. Louis and attended the law school there. Taylor is currently a corporate tax associate and lives in Las Vegas with his wife and 3 dogs, and his wife is a resident physician out there. Meredith is also on the call, and thanks, Meredith, for joining us tonight. She is a 2014 alum, and after graduating college in 19, she completed a research fellowship to study girls and the girls' access to education across 18 countries, which was a project that really, she credits Chocolate University influence for some of that interest and kind of piquing her interest into that topic. She is now a 4th grade teacher in Nashville. Layla is also on the call. Layla, do you want to wave or let everyone know where you are? She is a 2016 alum, and thanks for correcting me on that, Layla. We had an email exchange earlier. I had her in the 18 class for a second on my notes, and so thanks for that. She graduated from Colgate University in New York in 2021 and spent a year working in Jordan on a Projects for Peace fellowship, working with refugees in that capacity. She is starting law school in Boston and is joining us from Boston tonight. And then we also have Brendan Fusco, who is a member of the 2018 class and is a graduate of Nixa High School. Brendan attended Rhodes College in Memphis for his undergraduate, and now he's living in DC, where he is pursuing a master's in international affairs at George Washington University. So we, I will say, have an amazing collection of alumni on the call, and I think they're also very representative of our total mix of alumni who have all really moved on to do great things. So thank you guys, and I have challenged you, prompted you maybe with just the idea of kind of what your takeaways. You're all at different times since you were in Tanzania with Chocolate University. Some of you have been back, from that trip for a few years, some of you for a decade or so. So I wanted to ask, kind of what you would share to someone who's considering this opportunity in this program. And then also if you have anything that's, from a life experience perspective, where this experience has helped you maybe move forward in a different direction, or maybe faster into what you might have found as your passion.
Missy, before they begin, do you mind turning off the screen share just for?
No, yeah, I will definitely do that.
Thank you.
Yep. Takes me just a second to do that, but go ahead. You guys can keep going. I'll get that moving. Taylor, do you want to start first for us, since I know
I'll jump in here.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
So as Missy said, I'm Taylor Curtis. I was a part of the inaugural group that went to Tanzania back in 2010. Our group was a little bit different than some of the other groups. That's for sure. I think there was a lot of experimenting and learning on our feet that first trip, but it was certainly the whole experience, the trip, the involvement in the program, in working with Sean, and in our case it was several months leading up to it. It was a little bit different back then, but getting to know the business of Ask an OC Chocolate and what it's all about, really having a profit and a service motive intertwined, much more so than really any other business that I've ever experienced in my job day to day. Now I get to know a lot of businesses pretty well. So that was something that certainly drew me to the program, was this notion of really something that was unlike anything I'd ever heard of at the time. Granted, I was in high school, but it sounded like a unique experience and something that would provide a different perspective, and it certainly did that and more. It's hard sometimes to put into words to really what the program and the trip meant, and the best thing that I can say is that it galvanized a lot of things for me. It galvanized what I wanted to do, both in terms of like educational pursuits, and then ultimately in terms of employment perspective. But it also galvanized some other things for me as well. The type of person that I wanted to be, the values that were important to me, and it's a program that will challenge you in a lot of ways. And if you are accepting and meet those challenges and accept being pushed out of your comfort zone, it'll give you a lot of opportunities to grow as a person. And so, there was certainly an aspect of I'd never been out of the country before, and that sounded exciting and fun. I've since been out of the country on other times for fun touristy things, and also when I was at Drury, I was a part of a program somewhat similar to this that involved a service project, but still nothing ever quite like it. And so, I would encourage anyone who's interested to at the very least apply, and go through the application and interview process to get to know Sean and the team better, to get a better understanding of what really the program is all about. And certainly, if you're, like I said, if you're a person that wants to be challenged a little bit, wants to be pushed outside your comfort zone, this is the program to do it in a really incredible way. And I'll wrap saying that I think, while it's sometimes difficult to put into words truly what the program has meant to me, and I know to others, I think the biggest example of what it means is the fact that, I'm pushing 30 now. I went on this trip when I was 16 or 17 years old, and it's still a very important thing to me. And I'm happy to take time out of my day, and I see that others who have been part of the program as well are willing to do so. And I think the fact that we're so excited to talk to you guys about it really speaks to what the program is all about. So I'll stop talking now, and I'll let someone else jump in.
That was great, Taylor. Thank you. Meredith, do you want to share? We can kind of go in a class order if you would like. Is that good?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm Meredith. I was part of the 2014 class. And kind of to echo what Taylor said, it's hard to think about like what my perspective was as a 16-year-old before going to this program. It's a lot easier to think about how this program shaped my perspective. I think the aspect of coupling the business with this community and like the service aspect of it, that's what really impacted me the most. I think it was a very, very unique experience. I was not expecting to go on this trip and then learn about Empowered Girls, which now there's an Enlightened Boys program. And that really, as you said earlier, Missy, like that really impacted and influenced where I am now. I now work in education, and my passion is in girls' education and educational equity because of that experience and being exposed to this idea of visioning and what it means to work together to build up a community based on, the needs or desires of that community through visioning statements. And I remember writing those prior to our trip, not really knowing what my vision was or what it could be at 16 in 2014. And then that's still developing and changing for me now, but to think about how being exposed to these perspectives, understanding what business and collaboration can look like has really influenced me a lot. And I mean, I truly don't know what my perspective would be like now had I not had this opportunity. So I definitely recommend going, or at least applying on this experience, because there is something for everyone, from the community aspect to business to enlightened boys, empowered girls. There's something for everyone to learn part of and yeah, take away. So it has really, really impacted me. I actually got to go back to Tanzania in 2019, which was amazing. Got to talk with Sean and meet Serafina. She was not there. I don't believe she was there when we went in 2014. So I got to meet her and see how this community has been transformed through this partnership with Ask a Nosy, and how they have transformed themselves. Thinking about when I went in 2014, I think Empowered Girls was a program of like 20 or 30 girls. Sean, you might know better. And then going back in 2019, there were hundreds of students, both boys and girls, who had gone through this program. And then they had added preschool, and just to see how students in Chocolate University are shaped by this, how Ask a Nosy is shaped by this, but also how the farmers in their community, how they're shaping their own community. So I definitely recommend applying. I am so grateful to have had the privilege and opportunity to participate in this and then return. And yeah, my vision is still growing because of this program and because of the idea of visioning and creating community through that.
Meredith, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We loved having you back there and visiting with Serafina. That was awesome. And I think a really cool experience to have the 14 trip and then also go back in 19 and see the change, you know, so that's especially unique for sure. So Layla, would you like to share with us any thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. When I received Missy's email, I was so excited about the opportunity to talk about Chocolate University. Just because it's still something I reflect on. I still share it with my peers every time I see Ask Nosy Chocolate. It's a big deal for me. So in light of tonight's meeting, I started to go through my camera roll and look through pictures of the trip, and not a single photo didn't bring a smile to my face. From putting out shiny objects in our accommodations, trying to attract monkeys because everyone talked about monkeys in the area, to participating in these vision exercises with students and meeting farmers. The trip was an experience of a lifetime. And genuinely, when I look back on this trip, I don't think I really knew what I signed up for when I started the application process, and don't think I knew the impact until we got there and after I left. The application process itself was honestly a blur. Even during the preparation meetings, I went into the programming thinking, oh, this is going to be an opportunity for me to teach. My mom kept talking about how great of an opportunity this is. My counselors kept saying this is going to be great. But it really wasn't about me teaching, and I was so incredibly wrong. As Aniva said in one of the prior slides, Tanzania really opened in a way that it's really, as the fellow women I have talked about, is hard to like express and put into words. I learned so much from my conversations with the people, from the culture, and even my classmates. I only knew a few other people from the program when I first entered, and now these are people I continue to check in with and talk with. So it was a great experience, and it's not something that you can learn in a textbook. And it's an experience I continue to try to replicate in my life. There's one word in particular we learned during our trip, which was kujingana, which means better together. And it's something that I continue to remind myself of even in the most difficult times, is these are the little things that you can't get in a classroom, you can't get in your day-to-day. And it's an experience that I would highly encourage anyone to undertake. Prior to my trip to Tanzania, I honestly never felt compelled to travel abroad, and now I jump on every opportunity to be able to go abroad when I can. Last summer, I wrote a cookbook while in Jordan, which is something I would have probably never done before this experience. this last summer, I ended up backpacking through Europe on my own. And that's something else that people are like, why do you do this? And it's, I think the courage that I gained from this trip to go out to meet people and to learn from the world around me, because it's just not something you can get at home. So I really hope that anyone on this call will take the experience to at least put themselves out there, apply and see what happens. I promise you won't regret it, and you'll learn a lot from Missy and Sean and from everyone you meet. And yeah, that's it.
Layla, thank you so much. That was very well said. And Brendan, would you like to share some additional thoughts or ideas you had on that?
Yeah, definitely. So hi, everyone. As Missy said, I'm Brendan, and I'm the most recent Chocolate University grad here, and it's still been 4 years. So I'm so thrilled that with the pandemic, we're finally in a spot we can travel again, because it's the absolute best. So as far as why you all should consider applying is, like, I can't think of enough reasons why you should. Like, first of all, it's like a week-long field trip on steroids when you're in high school, to go to Tanzania with a bunch of like-minded individuals who are some of the best and brightest in the area. And for me, that was really fun to get to know a lot of other people, to see a part of the world I'd never seen before, and to learn about chocolate and to eat a lot of chocolate. Like, what's better than that? It's an amazing experience. I know I learned a lot of skills that I've carried with me today in terms of how it's impacted my life. So now I study international affairs, getting my master's in that, and really want to be a diplomat. But I don't think there's any better example of diplomacy than Eskinosi Chocolate and their relationship with the farmers there, where it's really built on this profit sharing and direct trade model. I'm not even really into business, but that part, learning about that was so fascinating, to where there's just so much trust and communication. It was a really, really special relationship, and definitely skills I would carry with me in my profession. And then also, I tell people all the time, but it's the Chocolate University is the one thing from my high school experience that I still have on my resume today, because it always gets asked about in interviews. It's a great conversation starter. It's a really, really special experience, and I couldn't recommend it enough.
I'll add, it's on my resume too, as well. So, and I think I've had a couple more jobs than you probably have, but it's still there.
Well, I so appreciate all of you guys being here. And like I mentioned, it's an honor to have your time this evening. And I think a testament to your experiences while you were there in Tanzania and while you participated in this program. The mission for our organization, the nonprofit side of Eskinosi Chocolate, is really twofold. It's to be able to share that small business can make a big impact in the world, and also to help students and communities realize the world is bigger than just Springfield, Missouri. It's a big place, and there's a lot of connections out there. And being able to do that, I feel like the statements you guys all shared really attest to that. And I feel like we're getting that done through this program, which is great. So we would love to, this panel would love to answer questions. There's really, they always say no bad questions, but we are, if you're thinking it, someone else is, or someone else will be. So please ask any questions you have about what's going on, for this year, 2023, and just, really any element that you are curious about.
About how many students would you say apply per year?
Yes, that varies year to year, but we get anywhere from 50 to 100 applications per year. I will say that we have changed a lot of the program this year, so we really don't know what to expect, but the applications are evaluated based on, the individual application and kind of the trajectory that this experience will bring to that person's life, their plans. And it's also about the composite of the group. We have to kind of get a mix of the group as a whole that will work well together, that kind of has differing, maybe approaches and ways they might approach things, just to make a good cohesive group that will be able to get all the projects done that we work on together. So yeah, the students, there's a note in the chat here. The students that are eligible would be graduating classes of 2023 or 2024. And I will be really frank with you guys on the call here today. If we took students every single year to the village, we kind of come in like rock stars to this village, right? Like there's a bus of a whole bunch of people, and we kind of make a big impact. We don't just kind of go subtly into the background while we're there. So we really try to visit the farmers without student partners every other year. And then the opposite year we go with them. So that way we can share this experience with students in alternating years. And we also can like nourish and build that relationship when it's just more of the intimate, smaller group with just the company and the farmers. So that's why we have it structured like it does. John, you can comment on that additionally if you'd like.
It seemed like that wasn't, maybe I'm misreading the question.
Okay, I'm
The
talking
question
and
is-
reading. So
The question is, students must be a junior or senior, correct? Even if the student is currently
Yes.
16.
yes, that's the,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Got it.
yeah, graduating classes of 23 or 24.
What other questions are there?
I can share my screen again if you guys would like to show you the website and where the application information is, if that is helpful for everyone. We have everything posted out to chocolateuniversity.org. And when you just go to that main page, there's a button you can click just to jump right to the application info. And I'm happy to kind of demo that for people if you guys would want to, but ultimately the application is hosted by Drury University and you will be taken through our website over to them. And that is, that's the beginning. So I'll share my screen again real quick to show you guys that.
I think if I'm ever having a rough day, I'm just going to go back to this recording and listen to Taylor, Layla, and Meredith and Brendan and just psych myself up. I'm glad you recorded this.
It is that would be a great plan for any bad days,
Nice.
I'd say. This is our just homepage, and if you guys scroll down here, you can just click to. There's a little countdown. We have 25 days till the applications are due, which is December 5th at 5. If you click here on the Jump to Chocolate University student materials, there is the registration for today. This will be replaced with our recording by tomorrow morning. We have a fact sheet that has details about just frequently asked questions that come up typically, things that we get asked usually year over year. A lot of the questions we have answered by students also because they have a great perspective, as you guys have learned today. We have a what to expect document out here also that just has just the information about kind of the nitty gritty stuff within the trip, how long it is, how many meetings we have, things like that. And then we have a key date schedule that's listed here too. This has the anticipated travel time frame. We have a late July trip planned, but we don't know exactly what the dates are. We talk about when we will determine dates and when we will have orientation meetings and the program preparation meetings, things like that. So you can also preview the application here, which links you out to the Drury site. We set it up so you could look at the whole application before you started it and you would know what you're getting into. You could take a peek at the whole thing and go from there. So if you want to, you just click into any of these and you can download those documents specifically that have all kinds of answers in them for you. So if there are, don't feel as though we can't ask questions here today, but that's those are some additional resources that are out there for you guys. But if you click the application, it'll take you out to the Drury site, and this has our the details of the application and all of the information that we have there to get started. So I will stop sharing my screen. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we can kind of go back if you guys have any other questions. We don't have the exact dates for the trip, but we do have them for the meeting. And Reese, if you want to just download that key date schedule off the website, it'll have everything we know so far. I can say it often comes up, will we be back in time for a lot of seniors this year are planning to maybe travel and start school someplace away from home. And we will definitely have time back in town before August so that we always try to get back by August 1st. So there is a little breather, a little window for that kind of, getting ready for all of the early college stuff that happened. So
I will say
that's known.
One of the things, I was just there in May. It was my first trip since the you know what. And one of the first and last things that the farmers wanted to know from me is when the students are coming back. So when Missy said, that we're kind of rock stars, we sort of cut a path as we're there. So we're very careful about that and really try to understand and cherish what that is and what's happening. But they like it too. And it's very important for the farmers and meaningful in their lives. This has been happening for a lot and they've missed it. So know that they're really excited about having another group of students come to visit.
Are there any other questions anyone has, or any other final thoughts anyone would like to share? Anything I've missed covering? I also go ahead.
I was just going to add, I mean, obviously those of us who've been on it, talked about things that are probably very deep and personal to us, which are fantastic. And I encourage you to, to try and experience those things, but on a, more surface level. This is also something that looks fantastic on college applications and law school applications and those other things. And Sean's been a letter of rec for, I'm sure, countless students as a result of this. And it really gives you, it gives you something to talk about in those interviews on a very surface level. But the reason it gives you something to talk about is because it's so meaningful to all of us that have been a part of it, to Sean and Missy and all the people that make this happen for those of us that have been a part of it. And then obviously it's meaningful for the farmers and then the community in Tanzania, and to be able to share that with other people, I think really it touches other people when you're able to do that. So for maybe more surface level reasons, I encourage you to apply because it does look really good to college applications.
Those are important too. We definitely know that for sure. So thank you for the folks who've offered their appreciation for this event, this meeting in the meeting chat too. It's really an honor to be able to share this experience. I feel very privileged to be part of it, and thanks Sean for that opportunity for sure. And it is it's very very unique.
Missy, when Missy retires, when Missy goes, I go. That's about as simple as I can say it. Her last day is my last day.
I don't think that's true, but it is a neat experience for sure. So I hope that if any questions come up, my information and direct phone numbers and everything is on our website. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, and you can email or call. I'm very open, and if you have questions about the application or just any reservations about the trip at all, I would just say apply. And that's the first step, and you're not committing to anything at that point other than expressing interest, and then we'll go on from there. So if it's something that you feel like might be a good fit, we're happy to talk more about it that way, and before the application deadline, or just via the interview process, which is the next step after application. So yes, thank you guys so much for being here. And I also just encourage you, if I know we struggle all the time within the school systems to get through all the clutter of messaging and all of the information that's out there. So if there is an opportunity to share that with your counselors or with anyone else at school, and even just friends, please do that, and even on our website or in our social media posting and things, just definitely share that with other people, because if it's not the right fit for you, it might be for them, and we just need help spreading the word for sure. So thank you guys so much, and we will remain available just via email or phone call if you have any additional questions. So thanks so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.